Hey, what's up, everybody? Family's here, at least part of us.
Yeah.
We got 3/5 of us here. So, Rennie down here. Come here, Rennie. Come here. No? Okay, she shook her head no. She's eating an apple. But our conversation today is just kind of what my wife and I. Turn your volume down.
Sorry, I'm trying to share it.
We're going to be talking.
Like the truth, share it.
Yeah,
right?
She's sharing it. She's tagging people like you should. And we've been praying on this and thinking about it over the last the weekend. And just we're very thankful for the things the Lord has blessed us with in this time. We know that a lot of people out there are struggling financially. We know that a lot of people are struggling with health issues. We know that health issues have gotten worse for people over the last year for many people. Many of my clients have gotten better and more secure health futures. But the reality is a lot of people have not had that opportunity or the means. Sometimes financial means have declined. So it was kind of cool because about that time, just a couple days ago, we prayed over the weekend. We talked about it a little bit. And it was something on my heart is I really, I typically get online. I start talking about, the issues of the vaccinations, the issues about the reliance on medications and drugs, and just how that system relies on pharmaceuticals rather than the things that are truly necessary for people's bodies to be capable of functioning well, being able to resolve an infectious illness, whether it be COVID or influenza or basically any other type of viral or even bacterial illnesses and many other health issues. We don't support the body and give the body what it needs because really the reason so many people can be asymptomatic, I'll mention another study New England Journal of Medicine actually did one at a military installation with Marines. Marine soldiers were given, they were doing testing and things like that. They were given the COVID-19 test. Out of 16 of the Marines that initially tested positive, 15 were asymptomatic, had zero symptoms, never developed a symptom. So how can so many people, so that in essence, in that group, it was well over 90% of those men or women, those military members, had zero symptoms of an infection but tested positive for the virus. And that's what cases are. And those are they're not illnesses. They're just people having the virus maybe in their mucosal membrane. So that means that thankfully, 15 out of 16 of those people had a strong enough immune response and immune system to not have any trouble whatsoever with that virus. So why is it so many people are having a problem with various viruses, whether it be COVID or influenza or others? It's because they're deficient. Largely, it's determined by their deficiencies or their stress and different varying factors that negatively impact their body's capability of mounting a healthy immune response. So what's really cool, we prayed about it, we thought about it, and what I wanted to do for right now, what I'm saying I will step up and we will step up to do as a family, we are going to provide vitamin D supplementation for anyone who, if you test positive, and you can get a family member to run over here and grab the vitamin D supplement from us. If you do not have the financial means to afford to purchase the vitamin D, we will give it to you at no cost whatsoever.
Right.
While supplies last, or our financial supplies last, I guess we should say. We're encouraging other people to maybe, we'd be willing to, hey, would you pay at cost and donate a bottle of vitamin D for somebody who is going to be in need of vitamin D? And the reasons I will back up with the scientific literature here. But even England, that nation, is stepping up. Our little Grinch right now is screeching at us. Y'all gotta watch the Grinch Does Yoga. That's gonna go like viral here now. But England is stepping up and giving 2.5 million vulnerable people a 2 or 3 month supply, I think it was, of vitamin D supplementation. And they're going to have a list of the susceptible people, the vulnerable people. And that nation is stepping up because of the solid scientific evidence and research that shows that vitamin D can literally save lives. It can absolutely reduce the risk of severe respiratory illness. So the issue here that we've seen through years and years and years is that if we support the sorry, yes, we have this one right now running around my legs. When we support people, we're going to save lives. So they're stepping up in that nation. I wish our government would step up and do the right things for people, not basically tell people if you test positive, go home and let nature take its course and good luck to you. And if you get bad enough, go ahead and call the ambulance. Go ahead and go to the hospital.
Right.
So, I don't know if you want to say anything real quick, because I know you're supposed to like tame me down, bring me down a notch.
No. I guess we should note that obviously this is for people that are local to us. Or do you want to extend
We want it right now. I don't know where this is going to go, how big it's going to go, that type of thing. But again, if you financially cannot afford it, we will provide it for you at no cost. If you test positive, we would love to see the test so that we can verify so somebody can't take advantage of the situation. But that's on you and between you and God. But the reality is, if you can't financially afford it, we would appreciate that. And that gives us the means to give to those who actually truly financially need that assistance.
Right.
So we'll supply them with a bottle of vitamin D. England is doing it, and they're doing it because the massive scientific literature that says if we were doing this, we wouldn't have the need to have spent billions and trillions of dollars on a vaccine and all the drugs and things like that. And this study really shows the effectiveness of vitamin D. While it was a small study, when you do a small study, they had, I think it was 76 patients in this. These were people admitted to the hospital. They went to the hospital with severe respiratory illness, tested positive for COVID-19, and 50 were given vitamin D. Vitamin D was given to them, and out of those 50 that were given vitamin D, there was, let me read it to you exactly. Let me read the exact statement. We have Brent over being our comedy routine.
If the phone comes tumbling down.
Yeah, if the phone falls over, that's right.
It'll come back up just fine.
So,
Ignore. Stay with us.
So patients assigned to the vitamin D were slightly older, not significantly, whereas the control group, those not given vitamin D, actually had higher percentages of hypertension slightly. So among the 26 patients that were not treated with vitamin D, 13 wound up in the ICU. And actually they said 2 of those people, 2 of 26 that were not given vitamin D, died. 50% of the 26, so 13 of those, 50% wound up in the ICU. They got worse, and their lives were put in jeopardy. 2 died. 50 patients, so there's more, basically double the number of patients were given vitamin D. And guess what? Out of 50 patients treated with vitamin D, only 1 required ICU admission, and all were discharged without complication. But I looked on the NIH, the CDC's website, and so far I cannot, and somebody can correct me if they'd like, I cannot find a single of their PDFs, their recommendations, their clinical recommendations for COVID-19 patients, what to give. It's all the drugs. And this was standard medical, so this was standard treatment that the hospitals give, remdesivir, azithromycin, and hydroxychloroquine. So I even see natural people toting hydroxychloroquine as the end-all, be-all, greatest thing you could give. And people, and that, it breaks my heart because I'm like, they're given that. So out of the 26 people in the control group, they were given standard care, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and guess what? 13 of them wound up in the ICU and 2 of them died. But vitamin D, 50 of them, what was it again? 1 person wound up in the ICU and no one died. That's huge, that's substantial. And with all the other supporting evidence from years and years and years past of the critical need for vitamin D levels to be adequate in the bloodstream of people who are facing an infectious illness, why aren't we doing this right now? England is, and it disgusts me and it disgusts my wife, and we discussed it and prayed about it, and we're going to be providing that vitamin D. And again, the stipulation is this, that I want to do this, we're going to do this for our community, and maybe the reason we want to do it for our community and our community alone right now is because if you are in another city, if you're in another state, why don't you step up in your community and be the person that shines the light in a dark time and do. And reality is, I hope the health department steps up and does and says, you know what, we're going to support Dr. Dale and we're going to come alongside him because yes, this would save lives. Yes, the evidence is sufficient enough to say that a nation is doing it for their people, we should do it for our community. And maybe we can get other communities of people doing it for their community. ultimately bringing back community that we need so critically.
Right, and it's almost like we're in this time where we so badly need that community because we are told that we cannot be around anyone, and so many people are they've lost that. They're seeking out that community, and we have kind of gone through this thing where we've been kind of, I don't know if we should say this, but kind of talked down upon because we want to help people in our community with COVID. Like, that is not something that we should do, which is completely mind-blowing and crazy as a healthcare provider that people are like, you shouldn't help.
Yeah, we've literally been
they should not,
for helping
they need
people
to go home and not see the light of day until they are better, and you should definitely not help them. Like, that is what we do as healthcare providers. It literally blows my mind that people think that way right now. And oh gosh, I'm getting fired up. I never get fired up.
Do it. Love it.
But no, it's so crazy to me. Like, it's biblical. You lay hands on people, you heal them.
Christ's instructions is go lay hands on the sick so that they may heal. He didn't say stick a Q-tip up their nose and send them home and isolate them and don't go near them. No, he said lay hands on the sick, the infected, lay hands on them so that they may heal. And there is evidence that laying hands, physical touch, being close to somebody, all right? I mean, skin to skin contact with your infant is well established to improve the risk of dying from sepsis in a hospital for an infant, for God's sake.
Yeah. So anyways, all that to say, we are not going to just bow down and not help anyone who is in need of our help. We are going to step up, and we are going to do that. And we are going to do it in a loving manner, because that's what we're called to do. So, we're giving away vitamin D.
We're giving away vitamin D for those in need. Kind of what we're thinking is because we don't want to, we want to step in the gap where there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
People are being tested, and they're being told that, oh, you now have the virus, so go home, quarantine, don't go near anybody, don't get touched, don't get, they basically say, go home and take time. They actually say something that's harmful, that at least their last clinical recommendation for people who test positive, just go home and if you get a fever, take a fever reducer, which actually increases the risk of dying.
Right.
It's bad advice. It's horrible advice. It's actually counter the scientific evidence on what would be best for the person. And then there's nothing, they literally lead the person to believe there is nothing that they can do to enhance their body's capability of reducing the severity of this illness, this infection, or surviving it. They basically it's all up to chance, and if you're the unlucky one, come on back to us to the hospital when you get bad enough. And we want to step in that gap, or we want to encourage people. Again, vitamin D is not approved by the FDA to treat COVID-19. So we're not saying it can treat it. We're just saying that scientific study in a nation that's doing it and the massive body of evidence that shows vitamin D is beneficial for many different infectious illnesses, including acute respiratory illnesses of all types, it's not going to harm, it's going to help. Let's do this. Let's help people. And think about it. That was in a hospital. People were already admitted to the hospital with severe acute respiratory illnesses. And then it prevented them from winding up in the ICU. So how many people, we wouldn't have a hospital bed, quote unquote, shortage, which we did in 2017, 2018. It's typically at capacity. That's the way they run businesses. The reality is how many people wouldn't need to be in any of the ICU beds, wouldn't need to be in the hospital at all had they been supporting their immune system and been given this type of information. So this is what's critical: is you share, you tag, you hear a family member, a friend, even if they're not crunchy, they're not healthy, in that kind of mindset, a member of your church that needs prayer, they tested positive, you send them this link and you let them know that we will step in the gap for them. We'll step up and help them in this time of need, all right? And the reality is some people don't even need it, but you might as well play it safe, in my opinion, and take the supplement, So we're going off the science, we're sharing the science. The main thing we're doing, we're not recommending you take vitamin D, and it's ridiculous that we can't even legally recommend it. I'm recommending you read the science and do what it says. It's beneficial. Right. That's what I'm recommending you do.
Yes.
And we're the ones who are going to step up. Our community members, so we want other people out there, other doctors, Wellness Way docs, any chiropractor, well, just step up. If you sell a vitamin D supplement, why not step up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, charge people cost right now for those in need, And if you have the financial need, don't just take advantage. This isn't a sale. It's not a Black Friday vitamin D sale or a Cyber Wednesday after Thanksgiving. Wacky. It's not a Wacky Wednesday sale. It's if you're in need, you want to step up there and make sure that you have somebody in your corner trying to help and support you.
Absolutely.
All right?
We just want to need.
That's Ren.
Which, we did have a comment saying that you were just another nut trying to make a buck. Which
I
is
am.
Really weird.
Yeah, that's weird because we're giving something away for free, and I have no clue how many I'm going to give away for free, and that's my offer. And if you can pay $5, and that doesn't even cover the cost, you can pay $5 if that's what you're financially can afford.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make a buck while losing a lot of bucks. It's ridiculous. You're an idiot. Get off my. Actually, keep commenting because the algorithm will probably make it better. Spread more. So, and I'm sure a lot of my followers will probably comment on it and argue with you and just point out how ridiculous you are.
But anyways, I think that's it. I didn't see any questions.
Yeah, any questions?
One lady said that her autistic son's been taking vitamin D for 3 years and he's been doing great.
Yep.
Oh, you think it's funny? You think it's funny?
And what's cool about that is, I did a video and it's on thewilddoc.com. And if you go to the website, sign up for the email campaign system or alert system so we can get you videos and stuff like that in case the future gets censored. But the reality is, I did detail out that, one of the children in the U.S., the individuals under 18, was an autistic African-American boy. And he died from Kawasaki disease, basically, acute inflammatory syndrome. So it was systemic inflammation is Kawasaki disease. And if you study Kawasaki disease and you study even autism, and the boy had autism, autistic children typically have very low levels of vitamin D in their blood. And that adds to the inflammatory responses in their body. Their body is capable of mounting the anti-inflammatory arm of their immune response. That's necessary to kind of put out the fires after you've used inflammation to kill off a virus or kill off infected cells. And vitamin D deficiency is associated with Kawasaki disease, and so is the use of antibiotics. And again, so you have autism associated with vitamin D deficiency, Kawasaki disease associated with vitamin D deficiency, and severe COVID-19 respiratory illness and inflammation and multiple organ failure, all associated with low vitamin D levels. So, that's the science behind it. So thanks for sharing that. You're providing for your son. And the reality is you should all be providing for yourselves beforehand. Again, people who test positive, or if you have a family member that's in the hospital, again, I have checked the CDC's and I checked Tennessee Department of Health in the past, and they had no recommendation for vitamin D. They're ignoring the science. That's what they're doing. So instead of ignoring the science, we're going to utilize the science to help save lives. Yep. And so if you have somebody in the hospital, you know what I would do? I would take a vitamin D bottle and take it to the hospital, and you say the science shows vitamin D could help prevent them from succumbing to severe respiratory illness and going to the ICU or winding up dying. And that's what the science says right now. The best available science says it could save them. That's better science than the dang vaccines have right now. They've already admitted it. Little girls going nuts. So, bang on that door and say, you better, or they're neglect. It's neglect if they don't. And it's your family member, it's your friend. If it's your family member, absolutely for sure. You have authority over what the hospital does, and they have to give something that you demand they give. As long as they know it's not going to hurt this person, you can demand that they administer that. And thankfully, I know nurses in this community already who are encouraging this, all right? So at least in my community, if you got the right nurses, they absolutely would help you out in that situation. So anything else you need to say or do real quick?
My brain's pretty well
fried and focused on a baby.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but we appreciate you all very, very much. Thank you so much. Please do your best to get the word out for us, and just let people know in Clarksville, Tennessee, in this community, and probably the surrounding communities, because I have patients and clients that I would support absolutely their friend or family member that live over in Dover. So in my surrounding community, that's where I'm going to be we've provided for. I hope other people can step up and provide as well for their communities. So I encourage you to do that as well and do the same type of videos. And maybe we can create a just kind of like a trend and a wave. Did you get it? Play on words.
Oh.
We're gonna start and I know biblically waves are really good, but so maybe I'll switch that. We're going to start a. We're going to start. Ren, stop crashing the toys into the wall. We're going to start a trend of people doing what God's called us to do, and that is step up and help our brothers and sisters in Christ. Let's help support people in the way God designed our body to need that support, rely on that support, and then give God the thanks. You know, we prayed about it, and God really spoke to us and said to step up and do this, and hopefully we create a trend, not a wave, we create a trend that will sweep this nation, sweep the world. I could say England actually started it, but they just confirmed for me that was the way God confirmed for me that I needed to step up and do the same thing. So we're hoping the trend continues and other people will step up just like we are. And then hopefully maybe that trend would then point out the fact that the medical community isn't utilizing the best science there is to help save lives. And because they're not, maybe then they'll step up and do what's right for patients as well. So that's the hope.
Yes.
And that's the prayer. So God bless y'all. Appreciate it. Share the truth. Don't just like it. The only way to save lives. And sorry about the keeper. Here, Ren. Say goodbye. Ren.
Say bye.
Say bye-bye.
Can you say
Good job.
say bye?
Good job.